Hello, and welcome to episode number 39 of the Between Two Brands podcast. Good or bad, I am still your host, and I want to thank you again for joining me, and not just today, but on the entire journey of this podcast. I think it's going well. I guess that's for other people to decide, but I'm having a good time doing it. I know a lot of the guests have really enjoyed it, and hopefully you are as well. Before we get started today, I want to go ahead and pay the bit rent, as I like to do from time to time. Hey, distributors, it's time to wake up. Your clients are no longer satisfied with you merely acting as a middleman, slapping their logo on generic, predictable, and frankly uninspiring merchandise. What they're demanding is something more. Merchandise that feels as if it were thoughtfully curated just for their unique brand. To stand out, your clients need something exceptional. Products that truly reflect their identity and set them apart from the crowd. This is where our friend Russ Mogel and his team at Seven Sourcing come in. Now, they have over 30 years of custom direct merchandise sourcing, which makes them the clear leaders in the space. Here's a few reasons why you need to partner with Russ and Seven Sourcing. They have established relationships with vetted and trusted factories. They ensure all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control check by an accredited third-party partner. They comply with and they frequently exceed industry standards, manufacturing requirements, and product safety regulations, and they manage every part of logistics and communicate with you through every step of the process. So, in other words, with their expertise, they know how to deliver bespoke merchandise that will position the distributor as the hero in the eyes of the client, while also steering clear of those common pitfalls that come with managing it on your own. Now, to be clear, yeah, it takes a little bit more time, typically between 75 and 90 days, to design, develop, and deliver truly unique and original merchandise. But don't you think that extra planning is worth it to craft exceptional products that foster lasting loyalty? I don't just believe it, I'm certain of it. So when you're ready to elevate yourself from just a promotional products distributor to a true partner that delivers something a little bit more, exactly what your clients crave, unique custom branded merchandise designed specifically for them, reach out to Russ and his team over at 7sourcing.com. Okay, it is Wednesday, October the 8th, as I'm recording this. Trying to think of exactly what I wanted to talk about. If you're watching this on video, I'm fighting a little bit of afternoon sun because I'm recording this in the afternoon. I usually record in the morning. And I had a couple things I wanted to talk about that were very industry specific. But then the last 24 hours made me realize there was something else I think is a little more important, and especially for those of us in the promotional products industry and really any job. And it's managing stress. Um, we know that October kind of starts we know kind of. Of course, October starts the final quarter of the year, and that's when so much of the work in our industry is done. I think somewhere between 40 and 45% of all sales happen in the fourth quarter. So obviously, it's an extraordinarily busy time. For me, even though I'm a business services provider, it's an exceptionally busy time for me as well because my clients are promotional products suppliers and distributors. So if it's busy for them, it's busy for me. I also have my son, who is just down the road, and we'll get to him in a minute. But he was on the podcast a few weeks ago. He is on his own in Montgomery, Alabama. So there's a little. I always worry about him, wonder how he's doing. Very curious about him. Drew, his brother, his twin brother, is graduating here in, gosh, 2 months, I think, from today, actually, graduating from Mississippi State with a degree in mechanical engineering. And he's going to be starting his career as a project manager for Garney Construction in Dallas. So there's that makes us busy too, kind of trying to plan closing up his area, his life down in Starkville, Mississippi, and getting him ready to move to the Dallas area. Have a promo cruise in 3 weeks. And as much as Josh and I plan and we try to get ahead, and we do a much better job of managing these events on behind the scenes from a behind the scenes perspective than we have ever before. But it doesn't make it any less stressful, and it doesn't make all the little details that we pay attention to do everything we can to make sure those events come off without a hitch, and they are the most memorable, most epic experiences in the promotional products industry. It doesn't diminish that, so it's a lot of stress there. And then, of course, have aging parents. Sandy's mom is getting older, and there's always stress related to that and what needs to be done to make sure she's doing okay, her sister's doing okay, and things like that. And then, getting COVID a couple weeks ago sure as hell didn't help. I'll be honest with you. I said last week, it was a pretty brief bout of COVID, and for the most part, the bad stuff was. The fatigue has finally gone away, but I've got this lingering cough and this lingering congestion. So does Sandy. And so it's just like it just one thing after another, it seems like. So it's a time of year where stress just feels piled on. And I could go on and on, but I don't want to bore you because every single one of you listening or watching experiences, if not exactly the same, more stress. Okay. So I understand all that. And I think the reason I wanted to talk about that is something I've been focusing a lot on lately is uh, the life of a solopreneur. And I'm a solopreneur. For the most part, it's just me. Of course, I have some back office help that I outsource, things like that. But for the most part, it's me. And so to take time off is a Herculean task at times. I have to double up the work because I have deliverables every week. And so there's not a team to pass that off to. And so I thought I'd share how I'm doing my best to manage stress. One is I'm prioritizing self-care, which is exercise. I try to run 4 to 5 times a week, about 2.5 to 3 miles a day. I don't like broadcast on social media because that's just not my comfort level. I don't love doing that. That's just me. Um, but that's something that helps me, and that's every morning, or not every morning, but 4, 5, 6 times a week. And I get up at 5:30, go do that, and that helps. That is a natural stress reliever that helps sets the tone for my day. For me and the way I work, especially as a solopreneur, and so many balls in the air, whether it's Brandivate or Promocations, doing this podcast, writing blogs, all the client work I do, all those things, it's time management. And I am strict about time management, strict about when deliverables are due, when meetings begin and end, and make sure that I am as present as I can be when I need to be. But I'm also protecting time, managing time so that when I have blocks of time where it's just creative stuff because I have to do that for the type of work that I do. So time management for me on the front end, it takes time to create time management. I spend about an hour or two every Friday building my next week, making sure everything is where it needs to be. And I block off my calendar for every task that I need to do. And then as I do it throughout the week, I delete it. And so at the end of the week, when I have an empty calendar, I know I've had a productive week. I know that I've done work that matters for my clients. That's important to me. And so time management's been learning the skills of what I need for time management has been an incredible stress reliever for me. Um, I said just no a little more. I've said no to potential opportunities. I've said no to work um, because it just enough, sometimes enough is enough. And I can tell it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit with my skill set. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to accomplish the things that they want. Sometimes I have potential clients who have very grandiose ideas of what can be accomplished in a short amount of time. And I feel I could certainly take their money, but I'd feel that'd be very disingenuous if I felt their goals were not realistic. And so sometimes I've learned to say no. And at the same time, I have also learned to bank work when I'm in a creative mode, right? If you're doing anything creative or any type of work, you can get on a roll. Blogs is a great example. A lot of times I will write blogs all afternoon because that's just I've got time, I've blocked time to do it, and things are rolling. I've got good ideas, or at least I think they're good ideas. That's for other people to judge. But I have ideas, and so I'll write 4 or 5 blogs. So I have blogs because I post one every Monday. Then I have blogs for the next few weeks, and it's something I don't have to do for the following week. So I can bank some of that work. That's something that's helped me relieve stress as well. Support from family and friends. Can't go out with that. I think everybody would agree. Support from whatever your network is, family, friends, business partners, coworkers, whatever. That's important. But the thing I've had to learn the most, and it kind of makes me sad because I wish I had learned this when I was younger, is making more time for the things that matter. I just posted today, Sandy and I, on a whim, we decided to go out to dinner Tuesday night. Not a big deal. That's not breaking news. We decided to go to dinner 5 hours away and have seafood in Wetumpka, Alabama. It just so happened to be a wharf casual seafood where our son Mitch co-hosts the high school coaches show that's live streamed every week on YouTube. But we wanted to see it in person. And so we just drove down to Wetumpka, Alabama, surprised him, had a great dinner. I'm not kidding, the food was great. Had a great dinner, saw his office, went to a hotel, came back the next morning, Wednesday morning. I don't think I would have done that 4 years ago. And that makes me sad because it was such a great time. It was so much fun seeing the look on his face and making time for things that matter. And so I've learned it now. And it's easy and because of the time management and the other things I do to relieve my stress, it is not stressful for me to leave for 24 hours or a week or whatever because I can replicate that. I'm gonna do the same thing this weekend. So we got to see Mitch yesterday, which was Tuesday. Drew is coming home for his last fall break on Friday. I'm taking I'm stopping work around 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning because what he wants to do, he said, I want to learn how to cook a brisket. And he goes, I mean, from going to get it, I want to go get it, I want to trim it, I want to season it, I want to smoke it, I want to wrap it, I want to slice it, I want to do the whole thing. And I'm going to make time for that because doing that will give me so much joy and happiness, just spending time with my family. That will reduce stress. There are a lot of other things I do to reduce stress. I'm sure there are you too. And that's where you come in. I'd love to hear ways you reduce stress at work, especially you solopreneurs out there. Like I said, something I've been focused on recently a lot is what it takes to be a solopreneur to not only succeed, but also just to survive sometimes. And it's actually going to be a topic of my talk at PPAI Expo this year. I got news last week that I'll be speaking again on conference day, and I'm honored as always to do that. So be on the lookout for that because I'd love to see you there. But in the meantime, I'd love to hear the ways you reduce your stress. All right. Before we get to our guest, got one more bill to pay. Hey, do you know what season it is? No, it's not pumpkin spice latte season, at least not in my house. That's right, it's business valuation season. Now, perhaps you don't know what your company's worth. Maybe you've been a few years since your last valuation. You need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, you might just want to see if it's time to sell your business. Regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and the experts at Certified Marketing Consultants have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. Simply email them at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, that's enough of my preamble. I'm a little tired today, but I'm going to amp it up because I know our guest is about to bring it. I told you my guest today would bring it, and I guarantee you he will. He is a 24-year veteran of the promotional products industry, the first 20 of which he worked for a family business. Now, 4 years ago, he moved to Texas and branched off to open his own shop called C&C Marketing. Now, he's also an OG promo cruiser, and even more important, he braved 110-degree heat to be at the inaugural and last promo queue. Please join me in welcoming one of my real good friends, one of the good guys in the industry, Danny Henderson. Danny, thanks so much for taking the time to be on this silly little podcast with me.
No, absolutely. I appreciate the chance to be on here with you. One of my favorite people in the industry. So a chance to sit and talk with you, the guy
Huh?
behind you.
Oh yeah, but I say it's not me. Now, Danny, before we get into it, you have a pink drink. What are you drinking today, this
This is
afternoon?
a Tito's soda splash of cranberry because we got to be. It's all about logos,
It's all about brand.
branding, everything. So the drink has to match everything. That's
Yeah,
that's what we're doing
I
today.
apparently now I am matched. Like I am now. I'm all about I'm all blue today, and I even have my blue readers on if I need them. But I'm apparently working for Lone Star beer today, so
Which is perfect. The drink of Texas.
it is the drink of Texas. So We kind of went back and forth on some of the questions, so we're going to skip the whole. Let's have the Bill and Danny. We're just going to get to our question. So I have a question. Let's just start off where I want to start off.
Sure.
You've been in the industry, as your bio said, for 24 years, and the first 20 of that, like I said, working for a family business, which was Proforma Graphic Print Source, right? Am I correct
Correct.
on that?
Mhm.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit and understand the process of leaving that company. So I have a couple questions. Number one, what was that decision process like? Leaving a company you've been at, family-owned company, your family for 20 years, and then going out on your own. What was that like? What was
Uh,
that decision process?
for me, it had to do with the moving to Texas part. My mom's company being based in California,
Yeah.
me moving to Texas, which was technically it was a 1 year plan, and in 11 days I'll be here for 5 years. So after I decided that this is the place I want to be, I
Yeah.
realized that in Texas I didn't have the best chance of selling to local companies, saying I worked for a company based in California.
Yeah.
At the same time, my mom and I love her to death. We work very differently, and the way I wanted to work and the way she wanted to work are there were separate things. And so we actually had a very good talk and came up with the agreement that I could start my own business,
Yeah.
and for me it was, stay with Performa. It's all I known my entire life,
Right.
and have a Texas-based business so I can grow my sales out here.
Yeah.
And it was pretty easy with she let me walk with every customer that I got myself that I built with. And so that part was pretty easy. The hard part for me was going from salesman to owning a company and not knowing everything I thought I knew.
Yeah.
It-
It's in my preamble before you came on. I always talk about something, and I was talking about, and it's something I'm real focused on right now, which is the stress of being a solopreneur, which in many respects you are. And I was talked about how I reduce stress, and I was talking about where I just went and saw my son in the middle of the week, which I had to do other things to reduce the stress of knowing I'm not going to be in the office, and I don't know if I would have made that decision 4 years ago. I'm sad to say. So. I totally get what you're saying. All the things you thought you knew, and it's, oh shit, I got a lot I got to learn.
Oh yeah, especially when I went from a company where I had CSR help to now I'm my
Right.
own person. And it was very eye-opening. There's been a lot of learning in the 4 years. Um, I wouldn't change it. I love where I'm at, but definitely a lot of learning that you go and do it thinking you know everything. I've worked in this industry 20 years, not even close. So much more to learn.
No, and it's one of those things I would imagine because you've had to learn so much. It might have been painful. I'm sure it was painful a lot of the time, but you probably wouldn't trade those lessons for anything now.
No, it was worth going through the hard times to learn that, because without that, you're not going to get to the next level. So
So why Texas? And what's the biggest difference between California and Texas besides the fact that you finally have a very good fast casual hamburger place with orange striping that you can eat anytime you want, as opposed to that crap called In and Out?
I'm
What's the
glad you brought
biggest
that up.
difference between what's the difference between biggest California and Texas?
The biggest difference is the quality of burgers. I miss the In-N-Out burgers. Whataburger is not my favorite. But for me, it was I don't know, my family moved out here, 12 years, 10, 12 years ago, and
Yeah,
having them close by has been helpful. Cost of living, the people out here compared to California, and no disrespect to all my friends in California, but it's been super nice in California.
it's different.
I
It's a
worked,
different vibe.
yeah, I was working like crazy, and I felt like I was living paycheck to paycheck. Moved to
Yeah,
Texas,
cost of
I
living's
learned,
crazy
I
on
learned what a
California.
savings account is. So
That's awesome.
it's been
Now,
nice.
as a growing up in Texas, and I still consider myself a Texan, even though I'm in Tennessee. It's a great state. It's definitely from a tax perspective, it's fantastic.
That has been a bonus.
So, what were the biggest challenges for you opening your own shop, and how'd you overcome them? And the reason I'm asking this is there are a lot of people who are opening up their own business after being a family business, right? There, we are seeing the next several generations of promotional products professionals, you being one of them. And I want to know what advice you'd give them leaving a family business to start their own. So what
Uh,
challenges did you face?
leave on good terms would be number
Yeah, it
one.
sounds like you did.
Yeah. Number two, if you think you know everything, you don't. When it comes to taxes, sales tax in different states, everything that you've never had to worry about,
Yeah.
focus on that. That's very important. But for me, it was the biggest difference for me was going from a team to solo. And when I used to go enjoy golfing and get an email and forward it to my CSR and say, hey, they're looking for this, quote this company, quote it this
Yeah.
markup, send it to this customer, that option was gone. So now my golf game has fallen apart. But
Yeah, but
I wouldn't trade
yeah.
it. The 4 years of doing it solo, I have enjoyed. It's made vacations different. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, having the control of and where I'm at now of choosing what customers I want to work with and being able to do the things my way has
Yeah.
for me made me happier in the business. But
Yeah. And I
I
think go ahead.
oh go ahead with your
No,
question.
go ahead, please.
I don't know where I was going.
Oh, well, shame on me. What a shitty podcast host I am for interrupting you. I was going to say, I think that's something that uh, when I think of one of the challenges any distributor faces in this industry, it's that feeling of if I don't respond to my customer immediately,
Mhm.
they're going to go somewhere else. And I don't know if I believe that as much as I used to, by the way. I
I'll
don't,
tell you
because I
my
think if you
my
have,
rule my rule before used to be respond to the customer within 1 hour, at least saying I'm working on it. Now, by being one person, that 1 hour can kind of stretch a little bit. But the
but
key
that's
is
good, right?
relationships.
Don't you
You
think
know,
that's good? Don't you think that's good for your mental health? Because let me, I want you to answer that question, but let me give you some backstory of what my process is. So I've been you, right? I've been same thing. I see an email come in. It's like it's burning my computer, and the faster I get it out, I can not have my computer melt. Got to respond right away because if I don't respond, they're going to go to somebody else, or I'm gonna lose a sale, lose an order, whatever it is. And I started thinking about, remember when we used to get on airplanes and we didn't have Wi-Fi and you'd fly for 3 hours. It was glorious, right? Because you weren't interrupted. But then
right?
as the plane started descending, you get that angst, your palms start sweating. You're like, man, the second I can take my phone off airplane mode, and you would, and you get pummeled with email messages. But usually by the time you taxi to the gate, you've cleared them all out. It
Mhm.
takes about 15 minutes. And so my philosophy is if it's an email, I'll respond to you in 24 hours. If it's urgent, call me.
That's what I've
That's
been
it.
doing lately. 24 hours
Good.
is kind of where it's at right now. The 1 hour
Because I
thing,
think that's realistic.
it is. And if we look at suppliers too, if I place an order, you'll get your proof in 24 to 48 hours. I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of normal depending on how busy everybody is, and nobody blinks an eye at that. So why do
Yeah.
we on my side have to be on it every second?
And again, I think if you set those expectations up with your clients,
Mhm.
I'm a huge believer that you set up the communication expectations. It goes so much smoother because I know what you're saying. You go on vacation and it's like, I can't even get away from my phone for 20 minutes.
Right.
That's not a vacation. I'm just working in a nicer, more expensive temporary area. And nobody wants that.
But that goes into customers versus clients and
Yep,
relationships and
absolutely.
having the communication.
100%.
That's
Okay. Let me ask you this. You've been through what so many people running their own business, regardless of industry, have been through. You've lost a large client, and it was, I believe, a $400,000 a year client. So obviously that represented a sizable chunk of your business. Two questions. Whatever you're comfortable sharing, what happened? Because if I remember right, because you and I talked about this when it happened months
correct.
ago, in full transparency. What happened, and how do you go about rebuilding?
So I have to be careful how I say this because some of those people are on my social media, but it's okay. They're good friends still, even though we're not clients now. But in I had them for 18 years, built them from $600 to $400,000. And when they got to a certain point, you start doing changes. So in 1 year of me building their e-commerce store, I dealt with three entirely different marketing teams. The last marketing team made my life a little bit difficult, where I was doing fulfillment for them, storage, and I'd send them a quote saying, "We need this in stock. We got to ship this out," and it would take them 6 to 8 weeks to approve that quote.
Ugh,
From that point on, it takes another 2 3 weeks for the amount of stuff we were bringing in to
sure.
deliver, and so they were getting in trouble on their side for inventory being out and shipping being late, and they, in one way, saved their own backside of, yeah, they're not shipping on time when I literally had no inventory to ship. So,
Right.
but it was also a brand new marketing team. They also had their connections, which can work in your favor or not, depending on how things go. So it happened. $400,000 client left. They went somewhere else. Funny part is where they went, they ended up storing and everything, doing their storage and fulfillment out of one of our suppliers, which I could have done the entire time anyways.
Right.
But it doesn't matter if you don't have the
Easy,
inventory.
a problem you could have easily solved.
But if you don't have the inventory, it doesn't matter.
Right.
If
Right.
it takes you 6 weeks to approve a quote from our stock, what can I do?
Right.
Um, so as far as rebuilding, this
So that's
year,
tough. That's tough. I mean, I know you're kind of on the other side of it now, not in terms of financially, but I know mentally you are. How long did it take you to go over the mental aspect of losing a client through really no fault of your own, just a lack of communication?
oh yeah, and the fun thing was, we started present.
Hmm.
Uh, and I took about a week to just kind of process things and, be upset, be mad,
Yeah,
be sad, get over it, start looking at the other aspects, find the positives. One positive
there
is
are.
the fulfillment I was doing was 250 shipments a month. I was spending 4 hours a day on one client. I get
That's
those
too
4 hours
much.
back to build
Yeah.
on the customers that maybe I'm doing, 10% of their business. So started looking at the positive things I could find
Yeah.
and focused on that. Now for this year, I it worked out in a way that after 24 years in this business, I took this as a break year, kind of. I answered all of my emails, answered all my phone calls. As far as proactive stuff, I didn't do much of anything. I needed
Hmm.
that break to know that, come January 1st, 2026, now we're back, we're ready to go. Um, the little break was needed and worth it. I've got the
Sure.
plans of how to do things. I've joined, but as far as rebuilding, so yes, um, I haven't been using my connections lately. I haven't pushed them. I've met a lot of people who own businesses where I haven't brought up what I do really yet. So recently I have, and it's gone to the point where, like, where I'm sitting right now is a private club that I joined, and the only reason I joined this was because the only people who are members here are business owners, and so
Love it.
take you know put your money in the right places,
Yeah.
join where you're going to meet the right people, and then
Right.
when you do have the opportunity to talk about what you do and set meetings and things like that, it
Yeah.
it can go places.
See, I would argue real quick, if I may interject, which means I already have,
Yes.
you are doing something proactive because you're setting the table. That is proactive, saying, I'm going to join a club, or whether it's, the club you're at, or it's whatever it is, where I am going to meet like-minded people that I believe will get value from what I do.
Right.
Just because you haven't chased them, presented a business card, say, this is what I do, I'd love to work with you, done that like hardcore sales pitch, for lack of a better term, doesn't mean you haven't been proactive. I think what you've done is actually quite brilliant and what a lot of people would not do. Most people would just be like, I'm throwing myself into this. I'm going to canvas the area and da, da, da. You've done, I think, something incredibly brilliant by saying, I'm going to take a step back, figure out who I am, and in which you said, but you didn't say is I'm going to find the people I want to work with. That's
Right.
not to say you didn't want to work with the people who you had $400,000 with, but you're being very intentional about the type of people you want to work with. And I absolutely love that. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. So if I'm wrong, tell me, but I think that's really what you've done.
I I did it backwards in a way. I built a relationship
Yeah.
first, and then
That's not backwards. That's the way it's supposed to be.
it depends. If
I
you go
love
back to
it.
the cold calling days, which I'd never want to do again, I don't
Yeah.
want to do cold calling. I'm
No,
going to do warm calling and relationships and referrals.
I, I do some speaking in the industry and all that. And I used to do this talk where always distributors in the room, and I'd say, hey, how many of you think you're different than everybody else? You're unique. What is your, what's your unique value proposition? And they say, oh, I'm unique. And I say, how many of you think is creative? Creative is the word you use to say I'm different than everybody else. 70% of the people raise their hand. I'm like, you're no different. And because creativity is subjective. So I love the fact that you're talking about building those relationships first, because that is the real differentiator. I love it. Now, let me do a follow-up. Your mascot at C&C is a pink flamingo, which you're wearing on your lid right now. I have a pin you've been
Yes,
so
sir.
nice to give me from, and she got the shirt. Where'd that come from? What does it represent? How does that best tell your brand story? Because I don't know.
Actually, the flamingo started as a joke a long time ago.
Okay.
Um, some guys I played golf with, very serious golfers, black pants, gray shirt, gray pants, black shirt. And so I showed up one day in a bright colored shirt, and they're like, you're not gonna golf with us dressed like that."
There you
So
are.
in my head, I'm like, okay, you think this is bad? Let me see what else I could find. So I went on
Love it.
Amazon and I bought a couple flamingo shirts, wore them to golf, upset them. Beautiful time for me. Um,
Sure.
Somehow I incorporated that to wearing these to perform at events, to trade shows. Just I always wear bright stuff and
You do.
became known as the flamingo guy for a little bit. Even when I moved to Texas, after made friends here, I was
Yeah.
told that I was spoke about as the flamingo guy stopped by here. So it,
Okay.
but this started 15 years ago,
I love
and
it.
so it started as a joke, and now it's become a brand that apparently seems to be pretty well known.
I love it. I think it's great. Last question, kind of a couple
Yes,
questions here. Let's talk promocations. I know you're a big fan. Thank you. And you've been a big part of what we've done at promocations since our inaugural cruise. So I do have a few questions about that. You went to that first
yes.
cruise. You had zero idea what to expect. I called you up or emailed you and said, "Hey, you want to go on this thing?" And you had no idea what to expect. So what the hell did you expect going on that first cruise?
To be honest with you, even when you sent the schedule, which is a very, very limited schedule, and I mean that in the most positive way, I didn't know what to expect because I didn't know who was going. I know we had
Yeah.
1 day meetings. Um, I didn't know what to expect from day one. However, once I
Yeah.
showed up to the hotel before we even got on the cruise, and the event we had, the dinner we had, the friendships made almost
Yeah.
immediately. By the time you get on the boat, because I remember I boarded the ship, I guess it should be ship, boarded the ship and walked into one of the bars. People that I had never met before in my life, except for the night before,
Yeah.
flagged me down, said, "Come sit with us." We sat down,
Love it.
and like I've said multiple times, our I don't know how everyone else has been, but our crew on that ship did everything together. There was If we went here, the entire group of people was together.
Yeah.
The I don't know. You walk off the boat
Eh,
5 days
Yeah.
later with best friends and like lifelong friends because what you do differently on promocations is you bring up your plus one and you get to meet them
Mhm.
you get to meet the person that you work with and their significant other and meet them in a way that's not business.
Yeah.
And so people say you work with who like and trust. When you leave that boat, you know their family,
Mhm.
you talk to kids, wives, husbands. Um, you walk off that boat with lifelong friends. We still have the group chat
Yeah,
that we made after that trip.
absolutely. And every event's been different, no question. And all of them have had that same kind of feel, though, what you're talking about on the promo. As a group, people do we are an insufferable 50 to 670 people, and we take over bars, we run karaoke, we run the place. It's pretty fun.
And
And
if
it
you
is
have
fun to see people move as pack animals.
and if you have Mr. Tennessee up there singing, then
Tennessee Alex.
it's beautiful.
We
But
got a cruise
yeah,
in
no,
3 weeks, and he's already told me, Bill, we're gonna have to do a duet. Yeah, I don't know about that, but
I've seen it happen. But I would say
oh,
promotions of all the events I've done in, and I mean no disrespect to any other thing, but EME's facilitates power meetings. The difference is that you don't feel like you're at a work event. You feel like you're sitting with a bunch of friends and you do work at the same time. I mean, people were writing orders on the boat right there with
yeah,
somebody that they met 2 hours ago.
yeah,
Um,
no, absolutely.
you
It's
make
the whole
connections.
idea behind the event. And the first one's special. They're all great. So I don't rank them. Neither does Josh. But that first one's always going to be special just because it worked. It's something we'd been planning for 2 to 3 years, and it worked. And it worked better than we ever could have hoped. So I love that. What was your biggest takeaway from the event? Is it the friendships, the relationships, or was it something else?
For me, it was the relationships. People that
Yeah.
I mean, you could take certain people that I have heard of in the industry or people I didn't even know, and you get off
Yeah.
that boat, and we still text, we still talk to this day from a little, 4 or 5 day trip. The relationships built on what you made have lasted. It's been what 2 years now, I think, since I've been on that.
2.5. Yeah. But to be clear, I didn't make it. Josh didn't make it. It was a good group dynamic. And that's something we always strive for is a good group dynamic. So
Relationships.
appreciate that.
The the boat trip I went on that was never supposed to happen with the issues, but it
That's right.
ended up happening. And I have to say, we outside.
We outside. No, I am, and if you don't know, you don't know, but we
Oh,
outside. All
while we're
right.
on, I have to give a shout out. This logo created by Hillary, who I met on the boat.
That's right.
But Hillary created this logo for me. Talk about pens. If you don't know Talk About Pens, go check them out.
And she's coming on the next cruise, and she was texting Josh and I yesterday about how excited she is. I think she might be more excited than Josh and I am combined, quite honestly, which is great. Last question. You paid your own money to come to the promo queue on, I'm pretty sure, the hottest day I've ever experienced in Nashville. Do you regret coming and just melting?
I don't regret coming. It was by far, I think, the hottest heat I've ever been in my entire life. But for me, the
Yeah.
people I was with,
Yeah.
that made it worth it.
Yeah.
Plus the location. So if you ever do it again, that location was phenomenal for that.
Yeah, what we did for people don't know, it was a little tiny home village right in the middle of Nashville. It was these containers that were converted into like hotel, almost like hotels. So there were six of them, and in the middle of all the six of them was a courtyard. And Josh and I brought basically our backyards to that courtyard, and a bunch of us cooked in the heat. And I am not gonna exaggerate. The actual air temperature that day was, I think, 104. It was humid as all get out. So the real feel was no joke like 115. And then I had a big rotisserie thing, and I'm standing in front of fire for hours. No joke that we did it on a Friday, and my body temperature did not get below 102 till Sunday. It was that hot. I mean, it was so hot. I like by the middle of the afternoon, I was feeling sick, sunsick. I
So
tried to have a beer, couldn't have a beer. I just couldn't. I call it could drink was water. It was rough, but you know what? Good memory, good memory, and good time here. Before we let you go, let me say something about our sponsor, and then we'll say goodbye. Hey, big thanks to our pals over at Seven Sourcing for sponsoring this platinum pink level podcast. When you're ready to be a partner your clients want, the ones that deliver unique, custom, and bespoke branded merch designed exclusively for them, reach out to Russ Mogel and his team over at sales at sevensourcing.com. Danny, thank you for being a friend, not the Golden Girls theme song, but thank you for always being a great guy. And thanks for hanging out with me today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me and for all the things you've done for me in this industry, along with Chromocations. Being part of that, if you have not been on there, that is the place to go.
All right, man. Appreciate it. We'll do it again soon.
All right, buddy.